The beast that feared no one. The jungle of planet Varkos 9 was silent. Too silent. Alien Commander Kira Valon, a tall female soldier with silver skin and glowing green eyes, raised her hand to signal her team to stop. The leaves above rustled slightly, but there was no wind. Her heart pounded. Not because of fear for herself, but for her team. Something was out there. Something watching. Her squad of elite alien hunters trained for war and survival stood frozen. Even their boots made no sound on the wet jungle floor. Each of them held plasma rifles, but their fingers trembled on the triggers. Everyone knew the stories. A creature so deadly, so powerful that even the strongest alien armies refused to fight it. The Dravak beast. 10 feet tall, muscle like steel, fangs longer than a man's arm, skin thick like armor. Born in the wild, no one had ever captured it, no one had ever tamed it, and no one had ever survived it, until now. Suddenly a loud crack echoed through the trees like a branch snapping under something heavy. Then another. The team turned as one, aiming their weapons. A blur of dark red and black rushed through the trees. A scream, then silence. One of the soldiers was gone. Just gone. Kira spun around, eyes scanning fast. "Form a circle," she ordered, but it was too late. The creature attacked again, this time faster. A second soldier flew through the air, crashing into a tree, armor crushed like paper. The beast appeared only for a moment. Its eyes glowed yellow. Its body moved like smoke. It was massive, terrifying, and unstoppable. The squad fired, lighting, up the jungle with blue plasma. The trees burned, but the creature vanished into the shadows again. "Fall back," Kira shouted. "Now!" They ran, not like soldiers, like prey. Branches tore their armor. Mud slowed their boots. One by one, the beast picked them off. It wasn't just hunting them, it was playing with them. Kira, panting and covered in blood and dirt, stumbled into a clearing. Her weapon was gone. Her leg hurt. She couldn't run anymore. She turned. And there it was. The Dravak stepped out of the shadows. Massive, breathing loud, eyes locked on her. She stared into death. Then, a voice. Calm. Deep. Human. "Hey." The beast stopped. Kira blinked. A human man stood a few feet away, tall, dirty, shirtless. His skin was scarred, his hair wild. He didn't hold a weapon. He didn't even flinch. He just looked at the beast with steady eyes. "Easy now," he said softly. The Dravak growled, deep and low. The man took a step closer. "Back," he whispered. And the unthinkable happened. The beast backed away. Kira couldn't believe it. The monster that had killed her squad, that had torn apart armored soldiers like toys, was obeying. This human? She opened her mouth to speak, but no sound came. The man slowly turned his head and looked at her. "You all right?" he asked. Kira stared at him, shaking. "Who are you?" The man didn't answer. Instead, he turned back to the beast, walked up to it, and placed a hand on its neck. The creature leaned into his touch like a loyal pet. Kira's legs gave out. She dropped to the ground, unable to look away. This wasn't just survival. This wasn't luck. This human had tamed the most feared predator in the galaxy, and for the first time in her life, Kira, one of the strongest alien warriors, felt small, felt afraid, but not of the beast. She was afraid of him, the human with no fear. Kira didn't sleep that night. She sat on a rock, her armor torn, watching the jungle glow softly under the twin moons of Varkos 9. Her mind replayed the moment again and again. The beast, the Dravak, had listened to him. A human, not just survived it, not tricked it, tamed it, like it was a trained hound and he was its master. That kind of thing didn't happen, couldn't happen. Yet she had seen it with her own eyes. She had lost 8 soldiers today, friends, fighters, the best of her unit, but that human had walked straight into the monster's path and whispered to it like a friend, She had to know why. At first light, Kira followed the trail. She was injured, but her body pushed through the pain. Her kind healed fast, but curiosity burned faster. She stayed hidden, careful not to be seen. It took her hours, but finally, she found him. A small hut, made of jungle wood and thick leaves, sat in a clearing surrounded by animal bones and glowing mushrooms. Near it, the Dravak slept curled in a tight ball, its breathing calm, and there he was. The human. No armor, no weapons. He was shirtless again, cutting fruit with a bone knife. His back had scars, some deep, some old. His movements were slow, careful, and peaceful. Kira expected him to live like a warrior. He lived like a monk. He knelt next to the beast and fed it chunks of meat with his bare hands. The predator purred like a cat. Its tail flicked lazily. He scratched its head. Kira's mouth fell open. She had seen humans in war. Loud, brutal, explosive. But this one was calm, controlled, dangerous in a way that didn't shout, but whispered. She stepped forward, just slightly. A stick cracked under her foot. His head turned. Instantly, eyes sharp, focused, she froze. "You followed me," he said. His voice wasn't surprised. "Yes," Kira said, stepping into the open, hands raised. "I needed answers." He stood up slowly. The Dravak opened one eye but stayed still. "You should leave," the man said. "It's not safe here." Kira raised her chin. "I'm not afraid." He gave a tired half smile. "Everyone's afraid. Smart ones admit it." "What are you doing here?" she asked. He didn't answer. "Who are you?" She tried again. He turned back to the beast and said nothing. Kira looked around. There were nests near the hut, skins drying. Markings on the trees she didn't understand. "You're not stranded," she said. "You chose to live here?" "Yes." "Why?" The man stood still for a long time. Then finally, he spoke. "This planet, it's honest. Everything here kills to survive. No lies, no politics, no war orders." Kira frowned. "You're human. You don't belong here." "I earned my place," he said, nodding at the Dravak. "It lets me live. That's enough." She stepped closer, ignoring the soft growl from the beast. "You didn't tame it," she said quietly. "You became one of them." He didn't correct her. For a moment they stood in silence. Just two beings. So different, yet both survivors. "Kira," asked the one question still haunting her, "why didn't it attack me?" The human looked at her. His expression was hard to read. "Because I told it not to." "Why would you protect me?" He shrugged. "You look tired. Sad. Like someone who's seen too much death." Kira's throat tightened. "I have," she said. The Dravak stood up suddenly, muscles shifting, eyes glowing. It walked past Kira, brushing her gently with its thick fur. She didn't move. She didn't need to. Somehow, it trusted her now. Because he did. Why the beast listens, Kira couldn't stop thinking about the way the Dravak had brushed against her. It wasn't just a monster anymore. It was a living, breathing creature that had accepted her, only because he had accepted her first, and that was more terrifying than any weapon. The next morning she returned to the humans' camp. She didn't sneak this time. She walked in, uninvited, like she belonged there. He didn't even look surprised. "You're still here," he said, slicing roots by the fire. "I want to learn," she said. "Learn what?" "Why it listens to you." The human, Eli, as she'd finally learned, paused for a second. Then he tossed a root to the beast, which caught it midair like a toy. "I don't control it," he said simply. "I respect it." Kara sat across from him. "You respect a killing machine?" "It's not a machine, it's a creature. It protects its territory, just like you protect your home." She frowned. "It kills everything that moves." "So do you. So does your army. What's the difference?" That hit her harder than expected. She had trained all her life to fight, conquer, survive. But this man, he had survived without war. How long have you been here? She asked quietly. 4 years. Alone? He nodded. Why didn't you leave? Eli looked into the fire. I tried. Once. Got chased off by a swarm of sky leeches. Lost my comms, then I met her. He gestured toward the Dravak. Kira's eyes widened. You gave it a gender? She's not an it. The way he said it, firm, gentle, real, it made Kira shiver. She watched how the beast moved around him, calm, protective. She wasn't trained like a pet. She was bonded, like family. What did you do to her? Kira asked. Eli chuckled softly. I didn't do anything. She tested me, chased me, wounded me. I bled in the mud for 2 days. But I didn't run. I didn't fight. I just sat. I let her decide. And she spared you? No. She accepted me. Kira was silent for a long time. Back on her ship, they used force to tame wild things, electric collars, poison darts, mind chips, but this human had done the opposite. He had offered himself, not as a master, but as an equal. Later that day, a smaller predator wandered near the camp, a striped hunter lizard, all teeth and claws. It hissed at Kira as she stepped, near the stream. Before she could draw her blade, the Dravak growled once. Just once. The lizard froze and ran. Kira looked back. The beast had returned to sleep. Its message was simple. She's under my protection now. That night, under a sky filled with burning stars, Kira sat beside the fire with Eli. The jungle buzzed with strange songs, but she wasn't afraid anymore. You're different from other humans, she said. He gave a tired smile. No, I'm exactly what humans are. You just never saw us outside your war zones. She looked at him. His eyes were calm but filled with something deeper, something sad and old. She realized he wasn't just surviving here. He belonged. Do you miss your people? She asked. Eli didn't answer right away. Then he said, sometimes. But when you live with monsters long enough, you stop seeing them as monsters. Kira didn't know if he was talking about the jungle or her. The alien hunters. Arrived, Kira woke to the smell of smoke, but it wasn't from the campfire. It was from burning trees. The morning jungle was no longer peaceful. The birds had vanished. The air felt heavy. Even the Dravak, usually calm near Eli, was growling low, pacing in tight circles. Eli stood still, eyes toward the sky. His jaw was clenched. They're here, he said softly. Kira's blood ran cold. Her people. The alien military had come. She should have felt relief. She felt dread. 2 ships broke through the clouds, dark, sharp, and angry. Drop pods fell like comets crashing into the forest with shaking explosions. Trees burned, beasts fled. Eli didn't move. Neither did the Dravak. Kira grabbed his arm. We have to run. No, he said. You'll be captured. They're not here for me. They're here for her. He looked at the Dravak. And if we run, she'll fight, and she'll die. Kira's heart twisted. She remembered her mission. Capture or kill the apex predator. But now that predator had a name, a soul, a bond, and it was no longer the threat. Her army was. Eli picked up a thick vine rope, not to fight, to build a barrier between the jungle and the drop zone. The message was clear. Do not enter. But the soldiers didn't care. Kira heard the commands from her earpiece. They had detected human heat signatures. They were closing in. Her name was called on the open channel. Commander Kira, confirm your position. We detect unauthorized contact with Class V predator and unknown human life form. She didn't answer. Dewey. First soldier stepped into the clearing. He aimed his weapon. The Dravak roared so loudly the ground shook. Stand down, Kyra shouted. Do not fire. But another squad entered behind him. Then another, plasma rifles raised, sights locked on Eli and the beast. "Orders are clear," one of them barked. "Neutralize the predator, secure the human." "No," Kyra stepped in front of Eli. "You don't understand, he's not a threat." Too late, a shot was fired. The Dravak leapt like thunder, slamming a soldier into the tree with a sickening crack. Two more were flung aside like toys. Screams filled the jungle. Eli didn't run. He shouted a command not to attack but to stop. The beast hesitated, snarled. A second shot struck her in the side, a plasma bolt. She screamed, that sound. It wasn't rage, it was pain. Kira acted without thinking. She fired back, not at the soldiers but at the trees above them, causing branches to crash down and block their sight. "Fall back," she yelled to Eli, but he didn't move. He was kneeling beside the injured beast, pressing his hands to her wound, whispering calming words she couldn't understand. "You're going to die if you stay," Kira said. He looked up. His eyes weren't angry. They were disappointed. "I warned you," he said. Kira felt like the enemy now. The jungle burned around them. Her people were closing in. The predator was bleeding. Kira had a choice. Let the army take them. Let the Dravak die. Let the man who taught her peace be chained, or betray everything she ever believed in. She stepped beside Eli and said one word into her comm: "Defecting." Then she threw the device into the fire. He who tames monsters. The jungle had changed. Where once it was loud with life, now it whispered with fear. Eli walked slowly, carrying a bundle of moss and healing herbs. Kira followed behind him, cradling the Dravak's head in her lap. The great beast was breathing but weak, its black-red fur stained with its own glowing blood. They had taken shelter in an old root cave, hidden beneath thick vines and twisted trees. Eli had built it years ago, just in case. Now it was their only safe place. Kira wiped sweat from the Dravak's forehead. "She's in pain. She'll live," Eli said, kneeling beside her. "She's stronger than anyone I've ever known." Kira looked at him. He wasn't talking about just the beast. For 2 days they stayed hidden. Eli never stopped moving, gathering food, tending wounds, reinforcing the shelter, and he never once blamed her. Not for leading the soldiers here, not for nearly getting him and the Dravak killed. That silence was heavier than any words. Kira sat by the fire one night, staring into the flames. She broke the silence. "I trained to conquer wild planets, to bring order." Eli didn't respond. "I thought I was helping the galaxy," she added. "Now I think I was just forcing it to obey." Still, he said nothing. She looked at him. "Say something. Yell at me. You have every right." Eli placed another log in the fire. Then finally, he looked at her. "I don't need to punish you," he said. "You're already doing that yourself." Kira dropped her gaze. She remembered how she used to mock humans, calling them primitive, dangerous, emotional. Now, sitting beside one, she felt like the small one. Not because he had power, but because he had peace. The next morning, Kira helped Eli prepare medicine. He showed her how to crush the leaves, how to wrap the wounds. "You could have let her die," she said softly. He looked up. "She's family. But she's a beast." Eli frowned. "And what are you?" The question hit harder than plasma. Later that day, Kira walked outside the shelter, just to breathe. The air was hot and thick with smoke from distant fires. She knelt beside a small jungle flower, burnt at the edges but still alive. She thought about her army, her orders, her medals. None of that mattered now. Only this moment mattered. That night, the Dravak stirred. She lifted her massive head slowly, eyes glowing dimly. Kira placed her hand on the beast's fur. The Dravak didn't growl, didn't move, just looked at her. And Kira understood. This wasn't a beast. This was someone who had chosen to trust, just like Eli had. Later, Eli handed her a cup of warm root broth. "You're not a soldier anymore," he said. Kira sipped quietly. "Then what am I?" He stared at her for a long moment, then said, "You're someone who finally listened." She blinked. "To what?" Eli smiled faintly. "To the world." Kira looked at him, really looked at him. His scars, his steady hands, his calm heart. And something shifted inside her. Not fear, not confusion. Something warmer. "You're not just a survivor," she whispered. "You're something else." Eli shrugged. "I'm just a man who made friends with monsters." Kira smiled. "So am I." End of part 5. Let me know when you're ready for part 6. Betrayal in the Trees. It will feature emotional betrayal, intense choices, and the storm before the final battle. You said, start with part 6. More unique. ChatGPT said, absolutely. Here's a more unique and suspense-heavy version of part 6, Betrayal in the Trees. 800 words, third person, simple basic English, high tension, emotional betrayal. The jungle was no longer silent. It whispered, not with wind, but with danger. Eli stood at the edge of the ravine, sharpening a bone knife. Kira watched him from the shadows, her hand resting on the Dravak's warm back. The beast was recovering slowly, but still couldn't walk far. And now, someone was watching them. Kira could feel it in her bones. "I don't like this," she whispered. "I know," Eli said. "They're back." Kira tensed. "How? Do you know?" He didn't answer. He simply pointed to the trees. There, barely visible, was a shimmer. A stealth cloak. Alien tech. Her own people. Kira's blood turned to ice. They weren't just searching anymore. They were hunting. Her. She looked around the camp. Her hands had helped rebuild it. Her words had calmed the beast. Her choices had kept Eli alive. And yet something inside her said this wouldn't end quietly. "Get ready," Eli said softly. "They'll attack tonight." "But how do you know?" she asked. He looked into her eyes. "Because they brought him." A name rose in her mind like poison. Commander Furak, her former superior, cold, proud. A man who didn't believe in mercy. If he was here, then the mission had changed. No more capture. Kill and burn everything. Night came heavy and fast. Kira checked her stolen rifle. Eli checked his traps. The Dravak lay still, its breathing rough but steady. Then in the quiet, a voice echoed in the jungle. "Kira Valen, you have 10 minutes to surrender the human and the predator." She froze. "You are charged with treason," the voice continued. "This is your last chance." Eli said nothing. Kira's hands shook. And then, something worse. A second voice whispered from behind her. "Did you really think you could run forever?" Kira spun around. It was her second in command, Ray, her former friend. Ray stepped from the shadows, weapon drawn but not raised. "I told them not to kill you," she said, "but if you don't give up now, I can't stop them." "I'm not going back," Kira said. Ray narrowed her eyes. "For him?" She glanced at Eli. "For that?" "It's not just him," Kira replied. "It's everything. You're all wrong. You're killing something that never wanted war." Ray's face twisted. "They tamed you, Kira." "No," Kira said. "They freed me." A sharp sound cracked through the trees. A sniper bolt. It missed Eli by inches, hitting the tree behind him. The jungle exploded into chaos. Soldiers stormed the camp from every direction. Eli ran to cover, dragging the Dravak behind a rock. Kira fired back, controlled, precise, not to kill but to delay. She shouted to Ray, "Stand down!" But Ray was already gone, vanished into the smoke like a ghost. Flames lit the trees. Alien weapons cut through wood and soil. Kira jumped to Eli's side. "We need to move." "She can't run," he said, motioning to the beast. She's not strong enough. Kira looked at the wounded creature. Its eyes still glowed, but weaker now. And then, she made a choice. You take her, Kira said, handing Eli the weapon. I'll draw them away. Eli grabbed her arm. You'll die. She looked at him with fire in her eyes. Not before they understand why I stayed. Before he could argue, she kissed his forehead gently and ran into the trees toward the soldiers, toward Ray, toward Vorak, toward betrayal. The Dravak let out a deep, broken growl. Eli whispered, Come on, girl, not yet. As the two disappeared into the jungle, smoke and fire behind them, Kira faced the people she once called family. Now they were just strangers in uniform, and she would show them what it meant to stand beside a human who tames monsters. The jungle bows to the human. The jungle burned red. Trees fell like giants. Smoke curled into the black sky. Animals fled. Birds vanished and deep underground. Roots shivered as the planet remembered something it had not felt in a long time. Rage. Eli knelt beside the Dravak under the collapsed ruins of an old tree hollow. Her breathing was shallow. Her wounds, though bound, bled slowly. Her fur was scorched, her strength fading. We can't keep running, he whispered. The Dravak lifted her head slightly and nudged his hand with her nose. She was telling him something. Kira's still out there, he said. The beast gave a weak growl, low and long. Eli understood. She didn't want to run. She wanted to fight. Hours earlier, Kira had vanished into the storm of war, not to win, but to protect, to distract, to buy time for Eli and the beast to escape. But Eli hadn't left, because Kira hadn't left him. Now he stood tall, even as the sky rained fire and the air choked with ash. He looked at the wounded creature he once feared, and, now called family, let's finish this, he whispered. Back at the battlefield, Kyra's body ached. Her left shoulder was burned. Her leg had been grazed by a plasma shot. Still, she moved like a ghost through the trees, ambushing her own people. The jungle fought beside her. Roots tripped enemy soldiers. Spiders swarmed when she passed. Even the wind felt sharper, but she was running out of time. Commander Vorak's base camp had been established in the center of the jungle. Heavy turrets, drone guards, electrified barriers. They were planning to destroy everything. In one final sweep, not just Eli, not just the Dravak, the jungle itself. Kira crept near the edge of the base and froze. Someone was waiting there, not a soldier. Ray. I knew you'd come, Ray said quietly. Kira raised her stolen plasma rifle. Step aside. Ray didn't move. I saw what you did. I watched you protect that thing, that human. Kira's voice was calm. He's more than you ever gave him credit for. Ray looked tired. And what about us? Your people? Kira lowered the rifle. You stopped being my people the moment you fired the first shot at someone who only wanted peace. Ray blinked. You really believe that human tamed the Dravak? Kira smiled despite her pain. No, he didn't tame her. He earned her respect, like he earned mine. Suddenly, alarms screamed across the base. Red lights. Soldiers ran to positions, and above them, walking from the smoke, came Eli. But he wasn't. Alone, the Dravak stood beside him, fully healed, fully awake, fully furious, but calm. She moved with grace, not rage. Soldiers stared in disbelief. No leash, no weapon, no mind chip, just a man and a monster, moving together as equals. Open fire, a commander shouted. Kira raised her weapon, first, and fired at the turret controls. Chaos exploded. The battle that followed didn't last long because it wasn't a battle, it was a reckoning. Eli gave no orders. He simply moved, and the jungle seemed to move with him. The Dravak roared, and beasts answered from the trees. Pack lizards, firebirds, even the ground swarmed with life that joined the attack. It wasn't just one human and one monster. It was nature itself rising. Commander Vorak tried to flee. The Dravak stopped him, with a growl that made his heart freeze. She pinned him to the ground. Eli walked up slowly. "You never belonged here," Vorak spat. Eli looked down at him. "I didn't belong in your world," he said, "so I made a new one." When the dust settled, the jungle was quiet again, not because of fear, because of respect. Kira sat beside Eli near the stream, her body bandaged, her eyes tired, but alive. The Dravak rested nearby, sleeping peacefully, no longer hunted. Above them, the stars returned to the sky, clear and proud. "You changed everything," Kira whispered. Eli shook his head. "No, you did. You stood with me when it mattered." She smiled. "We both did something insane." "Not insane," he said. "Just human." Kira laughed softly. "You're a strange species." Eli looked at her. "You're not so different." She paused, then leaned closer. "And now what?" Eli looked at the trees, the beasts, the stars. "We build something better," he said. Word spread across the stars, of a jungle where a human had walked side by side with the galaxy's deadliest predator, of an alien warrior who turned her back on her empire to protect peace, of a place where nature ruled, but accepted those who showed respect. They called it the Human Grove, a sanctuary, a mystery, a legend, and at the center of it all was a man, a woman, and the beast who once feared nothing except losing them.